All right, let's fight. Welcome in the ring to each and every one of you. Welcome, 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 welcome. Let's fight, folks. Share the live for us wherever you're joining us from. Smash that emoji button as well. We are privileged to be back in the national capital city and back with you folks. Most of all, how are you folks doing? Please let us know, how are you folks doing this evening? Folks, there's so much happening. It is so much happening. We were listening to the Speaker of the National Assembly as we came on. Then we had to hold because we want to bring some of it to you. We want to bring some of it to you. Don't just want to come and say, oh, he said this and he said that. We want to give it to you from the horse's mouth. Yeah, Speaker said a lot of things. This evening, the Speaker said quite a few things this evening as the We Invest in Nationhood party was protesting outside his residence in Eccles. He had quite a number of things to say, but welcome, 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 welcome. Happy to have all of you here with us tonight, wherever you're joining us from. As I said, those of you who are later than I am late, all right? Those of you who are later than I am late. Brianna Abrams, Brian Abrams, who's joining us from Kaikan. That was the place I was trying to remember a couple of days ago. Brian, welcome this evening. Brian, welcome, welcome, welcome from Kaikan. Ring the bell one time. So Brian from Kaikan. This is way up in the Mazaruni. Is it quite region 8 yet? Or are we still in 7, Brian? Brian, is quite 8, or are we still in 7 in Kaikan? But good night to you, and we're happy to have you on the broadcast. Jackie and Ashley and Sandra and Brenda and Roderick, and what a day. What a day. I can't leave you all for 5. I was listening to the speaker, as I said, before we came on, and you know what I was remembering? I was remembering that feral blast, as the late Dr. Roger Luncheon characterized it when the then young Priya Manik Chan went to the home of the American ambassador, who was departing at that time. I think it was Bret Hart, His Excellency, and she delivered a feral blast because he had been calling for local government elections. You remember those days? He had been calling along with the opposition for local government elections. And these are the same folks who are going to come in a couple of days and tell you how much they like local government elections. But they didn't know that when a young Priya Manik Chan was delivering what her colleague, Dr. Roger Luncheon, called a feral blast. Well, to me, the speaker went way over. The PPP speaker went way over that line. Way over that line. Way over that line with what he said tonight. Way over that line. Way over the line. And if we didn't have a clearer mark of when we were going to see the end of this government, I think it began tonight. I think their presumptuousness, is there a word like obduracy? Obdurate. They believe power was created for them. And some of the things I heard the honorable speaker said tonight, I want to know who has arrogated to him that kind of authority, that he could defy the will of the people and say he has a duty and a mandate to protect the integrity of the National Assembly. Who has given him that? Which constitution gives him that prerogative to say, well, if it's in your own deliberate judgment, even after the voters have spoken, even after the electorate has made their will known, Region 10, Rock and come in. How are y'all doing? Who is giving him this kind of... Don't let me keep you all too long. Don't let me keep you all too long. You all have been in the Rupununi for the last weekend, right off of Region 1 in Mabruma. I spent a couple of days in Mabruma. Y'all know the whole thing top to bottom. Came back and went right off to Letem, and hopefully, I don't know, hopefully y'all have been following what we've been doing. So y'all know y'all boy didn't went on a vacation. It was work to bring you valid, credible information. Valid, credible information. And I want to show you guys some of what I've been doing, because I didn't been wasting time. Been up there to Napi, just on the outskirts of Letem. It's a good little way out. You know, came back down to Tabatinga, you know, the whole thing, and looked into a number of issues. Take a look at some of that. We come back, we talk about the speaker for a little bit. Yep. Take a look. Let's restart tonight and take.
Built at $182 million, the Tabatinga Secondary School under construction is far from being completed. It started in October 2024 and should have been completed within 18 months. The contractor is QA Civil Works. Member of Parliament Sherrod Duncan visited the construction site last week.
A couple guys on site here, I would argue about 4, working on the project right now. And I think I saw there's a contractor called Q&A Contracting that is responsible for this school.
During a visit to the school on November 24, 2024, former Minister of Education Priya Manikchan had stressed the need for timely completion of the project.
Notice there's no flooring in here, no roof. No floor and no roof. This school here is close to $300 million. It's close to $300 million. But this has its own problem. It is badly delayed.
The contractor, however, cited several challenges that have hindered work, including adverse weather conditions, the complex soil type, and difficulties in transporting materials. The then Education Minister Priya Manikchan had emphasized that he had bid publicly for the project. He had also outlined his capability of being able to execute the job, and it should have been done accordingly.
We sit in the National Assembly and we vote on these sums of monies being given to these projects, and we have every hope that they will be executed according to whatever is their scope of works and timelines. And
the school is now scheduled to be completed by April, but according to the evidence on the ground, this deadline is unlikely to be met.
Yep. Welcome back. That's another Bamia. That's why I told you, the further out you go, the more the corruption is. The further out, brothers and sisters, and you guys can watch that and share that on demand. It's on my Facebook profile. You can watch the further out you go, Mandy, Rhonda, Colin, F4, Alson, Cortez, the further out you go, it's more the corruption. Dora. That's what I'm telling y'all. That's how the thing is. That's why we got to keep watchful. We got to watch them, good folks. We got to watch them. Before we talked about the speaker, I was going to do this at the end, but since we talked about what we did there in Napi, and well, that was an area called Tabatinga. Right opposite this school is where they host the Rupununi Rodeo. And that's another Bamia primary school coming up there. Hundreds of millions of dollars. Right? You got 4 men on the work site. One is a supervisor. He ain't doing nothing. He just watching everybody. One is a supervisor, you know, and one is the man who bringing the water. Oh, the sun, the Rupununi sun. It's beautiful, but it's a piercing heat in your skin. And every day I went out there, I forgot my hat back at the hotel. Every religious day. Every day. Vexed for myself. It was hard. But the point I want to make before we head and we talk about the speaker, the point I want to make is that the farther out you go from the national capital, the capital is distractions. That's why you hear them talking about no, never had an interest in the city. Suddenly want to rescue the city. Go rescue Tabatinga Secondary School. Go rescue Napi Secondary School. Go rescue Karasabai Secondary School. And while at it, go and rescue what is supposed to be the new Letem Regional Hospital. Go rescue that. But you see, they're meant to distract you all here. So you wouldn't be focused on the other things that matter as well. And perhaps matters even more. So take a look at this.
We are on the site of what is proposed as the new Letem Regional Hospital, and there are a lot of concerns that are being raised with this project. Again, we're on site at the Letem Regional Hospital, what is proposed as the new Letem Regional Hospital. And this hospital is going to cost us as a country $6.5 billion. $6.5 billion, and it's part of an IDB loan. Now, the sod was turned here at the New Letem Regional Hospital in October of 2024. That is when the sod was turned, and there is a timeline on this project. The project timeline is 24 months. So more than a year has gone by in this project cycle, and we just have to show some steel structures going up at the back of us. So we're on the ground here. Of course, this is part of our parliamentary scrutiny and interrogation of what the taxpayers' dollar is going to. We go to the National Assembly, as we're going to be going to in a few days' time, and we look to see what the needs of the country are. And as part of this budgeting process, we agree, we disagree, and in projects like these, more times than often, we agree with the spending. And in between budgets, this is what we do. We come on the ground, we hold government accountable for the spending. It's your money, it's my money, it's all of us as Guyanese. And this project here is cause for concern based on what we're seeing. A year has elapsed already in this project cycle. It has a 24 months lifespan. The sod was turned here in October of 2024, and I have the impression they're going to tell us that they are mobilizing off-site, much as they told us with the new office complex for the Ministry of Works, that they're mobilizing off-site. So we just wanted to show you guys what's happening here on the ground at the new Letem Regional Hospital. Of course, we're in Letem. The cost of it is $6.5 billion. It's part of an IDB loan. Of course, we said the sod was turned on October 2024. The project has a 24-month life cycle, and we're here interrogating, scrutinizing. This is what good governance is about, and holding government accountable on your behalf.
Yeah. Folks, y'all can tell me, we making sense? Y'all can tell me, I'm making sense? Hmm? Y'all can tell me, I can take it. We making sense? Proceed, Karen. We making sense? Gwyneth and Forbes and FO and Yonit and so on, Mark, Francis, and all the other folks. Are we making sense? Gwyneth and Karen and Pamela and Marlon and so on. Then I tell you all, the further out you go, 12 months, you're supposed to see more than that on the ground. $6.5 billion. But if we don't go, you think they bring it and said, look, Duncan, we're wasting time here. Highlight this to me. We got to go on the ground, Wilma. On the ground. That's where we go and do it. And this is the work that I am committed to do along with my colleagues. I was privileged to have on the team MP Trader Finance, who shadows tourism and Amerindian Affairs. My guy, I'm showing you this sports thing. Maybe we'll do it at the end. But that being said, folks, as we change the pace of a little. change the pace up a little bit. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir, was on this evening in what was billed as a address to the nation. Now, I've seen a lot of persons who have said, they have never, in countries with president, prime minister, mainland or island, they have never seen a national address by a speaker of any national assembly. They've never seen that. But of course, this is good old BG, as we say. This is good old BG. So perhaps anything goes. As I said this evening, the Reinvest Nationhood Party took a protest to the house of the Speaker in Eccles, calling for that meeting of opposition members, of which I'm one, to meet. The Speaker called a meeting to meet and elect the leader of the opposition. The leader of the opposition. As I said, the Speaker of the National Assembly had an address. Yep. He had an address. He had an address. Here, here is some of what the Speaker said. My God, it's a lot. It's plenty and it's enough. It's plenty and it's enough. Take a look. Do I have it? I hope I have the right one. I just hope we have the right one. All right. Before we get there, we make sure that I have it queued up correctly. Before we get there, you may or may not know this gentleman, one Charandas Prasad. Just today, he took to social media on the very issue of the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly. Charandas Prasad, as you know, was a member of the AFC. And on a fateful day, in a fateful year, he was part of voting against, or rather for, a no confidence motion against the APNU AFC government. And the rest is history. Today he took to social media. Take a look, take a listen.
So the president of Ghana, Dr. Mohamed Irfan Ali, assuming that the leader in waiting is Azruddin Mohammed, and their extradition proceedings against him right now, if he's elected opposition leader, sir, it will not exempt him from being extradited to the United States if the proceedings at the end of which so allow. He will not be exempted. So why are you not convening parliament? Sir, it points towards a dictatorship. For one, appointing the Teaching Service Commission without the opposition is not constitutionally legal. You have done that. A lie is a lie. It's bad. But a promise made that is broken is worse than a lie. You, sir, promised the Guyanese public before election, during your election campaign, that you will give the Guyanese 100,000 cash grant for Christmas. That was Christmas 2025. Sir, that never happened.
Today reminded me of, was it Friday, when we saw a lot of bloodshed? The pregnant mother at the Georgetown Public Hospital, the young man from Beirut, and a whole host of other events unfolding politically. Today was that day. You had former MP and a High Commissioner to India, Charandas Prasad. You think you heard that right? Or y'all think that's AI? That's AI and Charandas' page. If anything, Pamela said he wake up and see the light. Oh, with hotty eye. Cecilia, Natasha, Bernadette said he scares me. Sonia Rigby, he got some nerves. He got some nerves. So again, all of this is happening today when the president of the Cooperative Oil Producing Republic, Dr. Irfan Ali, he is welcoming and receiving accreditations for high commissioners and ambassadors from different countries. I saw 4 of them. And while he is doing that, the Speaker of the National Assembly, the Speaker of the National Assembly in the Cooperative or Producing Republic, he had a national address. A national address. Oh, the names he called Azrin Mohammed. He said him backing down from no front yard or backyard bully. Take a look at some of what he said.
I speak right now, those events are being mirrored outside of my home in Eccles, being staged by international fugitive Azrin Mohammed and his supporters. That's happening at this moment. They have carried on surveillance. They've impunged on my privacy and my family's privacy. They've made threat against the safety of my family and I have a constitutional right to peace, enjoyment of my home, and this has been repeatedly violated by Azrin Mohammed and his supporters. This is the truth. I am not sanctioned by a U.S. court. I am not indicted by a U.S. court. I am not a fugitive.
How can this speaker judge fairly in the National Assembly based on the weight of your arguments? How? You tell me how. After saying that, do you expect Mansour Nadir to be an impartial speaker when he's already tipping his hand? He is now cast off pretense. He has turned his face against any acting, the real person. Listen to him. The vitriol, he goes way back in the dark days of this, the dark days of that. He's never seen such a time when people attacking him and his family. And is that the role of the speaker? We have said, whether we like it or not, our constitution does not bar somebody who is sanctioned or indicted from standing as leader of the opposition. We may not like it, but that is what the books have or omits. None of us can arrogate to ourselves an authority that's greater than the Constitution. And say, you have a right. You have a right to protect the sanctity. Okay. Okay. But that being said, I think the line that was really crossed tonight was the feral blast line. Brace it over. When I heard him start venturing in to this next area here, Irfan's look around for confirmation and support. Okay. The Speaker of the National Assembly, Mansour Nadir, wading into waters about the diplomatic corps. Brace it over. Take a look. Take a listen.
I will respond to some uninformed comments made by some members of our diplomatic community. The positions expressed by some sections of the media, some diplomats, and opposition members, which give the impression that the National Assembly has been deliberately inactive. They are false and outright absurdity. Our 13th Parliament, from the time it was convened on November 3rd, has been functional. In excess of 90 questions and 5 motions have been received by the clerk, analyzed, processed, and decisions communicated to opposition members. Among the comments made by some members of the diplomatic community include the election of the leader of the opposition in a speedy manner. To the U.S. ambassador to Guyana, I ask, who is the leader of the opposition in your country? Does the absence of an opposition leader interfere with your country's democratic process? To my dear friend Sebastien from the Canadian High Commissioner, your great democracy took 6 months to produce a budget last year. And your country has the unique distinction of having a person who was never elected to Parliament serve as a Prime Minister, a person imposed on the citizens of Canada by the former Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. We acknowledge with gratitude, much appreciation, the work of the diplomatic community historically for the support of democracy in our country. A democracy which has been restored in 1992, and a democracy which has been strengthened, fortified, and continues to be developed, especially with the changes introduced by successive People's Progressive Party civil governments.
When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. The speaker has shown us where he is. The PPP bring back democracy here. Is that an impartial speaker? He's not even attempting to conceal it. And listen to how he wails into the American ambassador, the Canadian High Commission. Why? It's not about you, Guyanese. It has never been about you. That's why you ain't got the cash grant yet. That's why you ain't got the 50% raise in salary yet. They said it was Photoshop. It's about a small cabal keeping and maintaining power. Never before in the history of humanity was so much owed by so many to so few. The cabal. Why are you going to tell the American ambassador? Were you leader of the opposition there? It's like you're saying, come out me business. You see how now that they are in power, no time say they have one power, they're in power. How they could cast off so easily the Americans. Now that Maduro stateside, were you leading the opposition there? Mr. High Commissioner, you got a man in power there who shouldn't be in power. Come out my business. That's what he's saying. Come out with business. And you think he's not saying that with the full support of the PPP government? Of Dr. Muhammad Irfan Ali? Dr. Barjagdio, Dr. Anil Nandla, Dr. Ashley Singh. You think it's not with the full support and weight of the government? They're doing that? It's not about you. It's not about you. But you know what? They're going to come in a couple of days and weeks and say, we care. Vote for we for local government election. I hope and I pray that we are not so short-sighted, that our memories are not so short. I hope not. Well, after the speaker was talking about the sole responsibility, the burden rests on him to protect the sanctity, integrity, and pureness of the National Assembly. I say, like, he's not going to fulfill his mandate as per the Constitution. The man said he don't have time with no backyard or front yard bully. He come from oil by his tongue, and he will not be broken. It's not being at the program time for us to show you all of that. No retreat, no surrender. That's what he was saying. And then this is what he said. Take a look.
I have asked the clerk of the National Assembly to convene a meeting of all the non-governmental members of Parliament for 10 a.m. on Monday, the 26th of January, 2026. And this is for the election of the leader of the opposition. I pray, I trust, that those involved in this process of electing the leader of the opposition would be guided by the dignity of the House, the reputation of our country, and the sanctity of the responsibility that has been entrusted upon them by the electorate.
Guided by the dignity. It's only undignified when some people do it, you know. When people hollering rape, and all kinds of things in National Assembly, nobody and dignity out the window, you know. When people carry placards and carry on, and it's not undignified then, you know. It's not upholding the dignity of the National Assembly. It has nothing to do with that. You heard that? You heard that? Y'all spare me a couple minutes as we wrap up. Folks, remember me saying a few days ago, individually, these things might seem innocuous. It's just Mansour Nadiring. It's just the PPPing. But when you look at it, take them together. A 6 billion hospital missing, right? A 2 billion school taking 2 billion years to finish. They squeeze out the chancellor. They push out somebody over there. How they swear in the Teaching Service Commission when taken together. We still democracy? Oh, we on the rim dancing with authoritarianism. The business of the PPP is keeping and maintaining power. It is not about the Guyanese people, but we have the opportunity to change that. We have the opportunity to fix that and to be a real democracy. A real democracy is focused on the people. It's not anti-banter business. And we cannot choose to obey the Constitution and apply the tenets of democracy one day and we forget them the next. These folks are as undemocratic as you'll ever get. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. Believe them the first time. Talking about the Teaching Service Commission, our parliamentary leader, Dr. Terence Campbell, who leads the APNU MPs into the National Assembly, he's taken the matter to court. He is taking the matter to court, rightfully so. Take a look. Take a look.
The APNU parliamentary opposition, Dr. Terence Campbell, has moved to the courts over the appointment of the Teaching Service Commission.
Since the election, we've seen a government hell-bent on constitutional overreach. Parliament was convened on November 3rd, 2025, and to date, we have not had the meeting of non-governmental members of Parliament to elect the leader of the opposition. We've also seen this government force the acting Chancellor of the Judiciary, Madam Yonette Cummins Edwards, out of office.
He said that in addition to these overreach, the government has proceeded to appoint a Teaching Service Commission,
where 3 members of that Teaching Service Commission, their appointment required meaningful consultation with the leader of the opposition. It is time that we as Guyanese take the necessary actions to stop this government that is hell-bent on having its own way without observing any checks, any balance, the constitution of the country. As a consequence of those,
he has therefore moved to the courts to challenge the appointments of the 3 members. He noted that in the not-too-distant past, the government appointed an acting police commissioner without consulting the leader of the opposition.
The court subsequently ruled that this was okay using the doctrine of necessity. I believe that the judge, the Chief Justice, the acting Chief Justice at the time, erred with that judgment and opened the door that a government like the Irfan Ali administration was going to exploit, and this they did with the Teaching Service Commission appointment.
Dr. Campbell said that back in 2022, Vice President Bharat Jagdeo had said that his government would await the appointment of a leader of the opposition.
Fast forward to 2025, with the opening of that door in error by the acting Chief Justice, as she then was, Roxanne George, the Irfan Ali administration proceeded to appoint these 3 members of the Teaching Service Commission. What we have seen is that the president is violating what was a previously established practice that had been set out by the vice president.
He said that the argument that the doctrine of necessity cannot stand under the present condition.
The government itself has created that necessity. The speaker has not held that meeting, but at no point has the president, the vice president, the prime minister, the ministers of the government, or governmental members of parliament called on the speaker to hold that election.
He accused them of acting in concert to stall the appointment of the leader of the opposition.
There's where we're going to leave it tonight, guys. That's our time and that's our broadcast. Great to have had so many of you on the program this evening. Thanks for putting up with my absence over the last few days. Frederick is here, and Alison, and Heaven, Faith, and Pamela, and Mandy, and Eva, and Crystal, and all the other folks. Thank you guys so much. Share the like before you go. Smash that emoji button for us. Pay some power, folks. Have a fantastic rest of the evening. We got to watch them. We're going to see you guys soon. Stay safe. Stay safe. Thanks for joining us.